Welcome to the Silver Mature WomanPreneur Podcast, a podcast for and by women over 50, providing faith-building strategies for female entrepreneurs looking to achieve higher levels of productivity, capacity, and growth, where we strive to focus on God's agenda while building our businesses to serve our community with excellence. Welcome to the podcast. I have the pleasure of having Sheri Bennefeld on the show. Now, Sheri teaches leaders how to install instructional design best practices, brain science methodologies, and most of all, fun when creating experiences that change the way audiences think, act, and live their lives. Now, that was a mouthful for me, I got to tell you, Sheri. And so, Sheri, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on the show today. And, so I wanted to definitely have you on because I know that you bring a plethora of experience and just some yummy stuff that I know you want to share with the audience. Welcome to the show, Sheri.
Well, thank you for having me. I love plethora, too. It's one of my favorite words. We shall have more plethora in our lives, right?
Plethora, yes.
Yes. As long as it's good stuff.
Yes.
Well, it is a mouthful, but I appreciate that nice introduction.
Well,
and I'm thrilled to be here with you today.
Thank you, Sheri. I'm so appreciative of the value that you bring to the marketplace, and I want to kind of start with where you got started because we were having this conversation prior to hitting this record button. It was really interesting. So I want to know how you got started in your career and how did you pivot? What happened? What happened? Because we were talking about the Great Resignation, and so that's going on now, and so that kind of started us on a whole new kind of conversation. So share.
I'd love to. Well, I spent the majority of my career for over 25 years in learning and development and event management. So most recently, my last job, I was working in associations, and I was responsible for all of the learning and development program curriculum and all of the events. So that could be anything from small meetings, classroom programs, to large annual conferences and conventions. So probably upwards to about 100 events a year, plus all of our other programs. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I loved all the people I worked with. I loved the work I was doing. It was great. And I learned, so much. And then about 10 years into that, if I back up just a moment, I knew early on that the president of the association who had hired me, I knew that he was going to be retiring in 2011. And we had known that for a long time, and we kind of came up together, and I was part of his regime. And I kind of always knew in the back of my head that when he left, I would leave. And so there was like a little niggling in the back of my mind, like, I wonder what's next. So when that time came, I thought that I wanted to leave and become a life coach. So while I was still working there, I went and went through a life coach certification program and did all that training. And when I left my job, I decided to be a life coach. And that it didn't really take very long for me to figure out that really wasn't what I wanted to do. But what happened was all of the trainers and the professional speakers that I was working with were gravitating to me, and they wanted help building a business as a trainer. So that was, I had all of my knowledge from the association I worked with was an entrepreneurial association. So I had all of that knowledge plus the training and development knowledge, and so I started coaching in that area. And then, long story short, we have all these little twists and turns and windy roads. But it all wound up that eventually I kind of found myself right back where I was in this learning and development space, helping people to develop courses, to, create programs, helping coaches and entrepreneurial women, a lot of which were very much like me, coming out of their corporate careers, looking for more, looking for a new change. And so I was helping them to develop their programs. And then COVID, which, every good story starts with, and then COVID.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
And then COVID hit, and I found myself in high demand, really, with people looking for help turning those programs onto a virtual platform, and just help making them effective and energizing, and a program that is actually high value virtually, where they were used to doing it live. So that's where I am today, helping people create high value, high engagement programs, and then helping them to produce them in a way that works and they can stay focused on delivering. So there's my long story of my pivot.
I mean, but that's an amazing story, because the thing that I wanted to say, one of the things that you said without saying it was that the experiences that you brought into your current business, a lot of it had to do with what you were already doing. And so,
absolutely.
Yeah. And I think one of the reasons why I wanted to just really bring that out was because the audience that we're speaking to, which are women over 50, a lot of times don't understand the value that they bring to the marketplace, the experiences, the wisdom, all of that we bring to the marketplace is so essential. And I was on another podcast before we jumped on, and one of the things that she said was to shop your own closet. And I thought that was so, isn't that profound? Like, shop your own closet. and it's so relatable.
I used to do a lot of coaching with women who were in transition. That was, one of the iterations of my life. But I would help them and took them through an exercise called, it was a skills and passions assessment, and have them actually spend time figuring out what skills. And really, you might be a stay-at-home mom for 30 years. You have amassed a lot of skills in doing that. And I think that so many women they discard their skills because they don't see how they're transferable. And how they might benefit them in other situations. So, I think if no matter what, by the time you get to 50, you've got skills that can be transferred and valued in a million different ways.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, it's and even as I've been having these interviews with, a lot of women, it's the thing that keeps surfacing, where we have felt that way. I mean, because I can certainly share the experiences that I've had in terms of my career, and I never knew exactly how they were going to, how I was going to leverage those experiences in the marketplace, but I'm doing it now. And when it comes to shopping your own closet, it's like this right now, and the times that we're in right now is the time to be, I'm trying to think of the right word. It's not imaginative, but there's another word that I can't think of right now, but it's time to really think about how you can be, I can't think of the word. I'm at a loss for that word right now.
I think I'm tracking with you, though. It's about being creative about how those tools that you have could be used in different ways.
Absolutely.
And, I was just having a conversation with a friend the other day about this topic of, the Great Resignation and the conversations about people don't want to work or what's going on. And somebody was saying, I feel like I'm too old to get back in the job market, or, and I'm thinking, okay, so no one stays in careers for 30 years anymore or stays at the same job.
Exactly.
We come from a generation that was very different, that, 7, 10, 15, 20 years in a job. Well, if you were to go to an organization today and say, listen, I've got all these skills. I'm not planning to be here for 15 years, but neither is anybody else. So I promise I'll give you 4 amazing years. I mean, why would they turn that down?
Right.
They're doing good if they're going to get 2 years out of somebody just out of college. So
absolutely. It made me think about what's the longest you've ever been on a job?
13 years.
Oh my gosh, me too. That was the longest I have ever. Yes, exactly 13 years. I worked in corporate. I worked for one company. Now, over the years, I've pretty much been in the same, type of position, like, project management, administrative, church administration, things like that, that really where I was able to leverage my skills and use them, on the job. And so, but it was exactly 13 years. That is just really interesting. I wonder what it is about those 13 years.
I don't know. We finally get a little restless, I think, at that point.
Well, that's exactly what happened to me. I can tell you that. Well, I want to shift a little bit, Sheri. So let's talk about what you do, the clients that you have, the clients that you serve, because, I said a whole lot, but I know that you are able to put it into the words that make sense better than what I did in the introduction, maybe.
Well, you did pretty good.
Well, thank you. I tried. So, so just kind of share what it is in what type of clients do you serve? And I know you shared a little bit about that, but let's talk a little bit about, the virtual events and the workshops and things like that, the things that you do for your clients. And then I want to move into some of the biggest mistakes that you see people make when they're creating a course or a program, because that's what a lot of people are doing now. So, yeah.
Yes. Well, so I work with clients in 2 different ways, and they tend to be usually similar clients, but they come in 2 different camps. So I work with a lot of professional trainers who deliver training in corporate environments, so leadership training, sales training, things like that. And they are most of them are independent, but they're contracted by, say, an insurance company. And so they go in and they conduct sales training programs. They bring me in as a virtual producer to help out on the back end. So I manage all of the technical stuff, setting up breakout rooms, helping attendees if they have trouble with their sound or if they have trouble signing in, or doing surveys, things like that. So I manage all the back end so that the presenter can really stay focused on delivering their content and being present for the audience. So that's one way. And then the other way is I work with generally small entrepreneurial companies, almost all women, who are building programs and courses and retreats and summits, things like that. But they're really overwhelmed by all there is to do to put those things together, and they want to make sure they do it right. So I help them we walk through their program, through all the content, and I help them put instructional design methodology behind it so that they're delivering it in a way that sticks, because there's no point in delivering a course if nobody's going to remember it tomorrow, right?
True.
So I help them to design it in a way that's engaging and fun and really has lasting impact. And those, most of the people that I work with, they come to me with, they kind of all sound the same, like, I really need help figuring out how to do this. Or I tried doing it by myself and I'm just overwhelmed. So that's kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I can tell you with all of the technologies and all of the, things that, the platforms that's out there, that's available, that can be so overwhelming for a lot of people. And so,
it can.
Yeah. And so,
that, when you talk about mistakes, that's one of the big mistakes, is that we get so excited about all these new tools and technologies and the flashing lights and whistles, and it's like, so when people come to me and they want to know, what do you know about this? What do you know about that? I immediately bring them back to, what are the objectives for this program? What do you want people to know? What do you want them to be able to do differently or walk away with? And what's the story you want them to tell when they leave your program? And then we can back into, okay, how are we going to deliver this? And I'll tell you what, almost 100% of the time, it's a simple Zoom platform. It can do anything that you need, and you don't have to get bogged down and spend a bunch of money on things that are not necessary.
Absolutely.
Keep it simple.
And when you said that, because, and I don't know about you, but I am one of those who really geeks out on technology. And I have to stop myself sometimes, because, I'll see this new platform, or I see something in my Facebook feed, or somewhere on social media, and I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. Let me go and see how that can work, in my current business or whatever.
Yeah.
And so
Let me go spend hours researching this. Yeah.
Exactly. And a lot of times, huh?
I said, I hear you.
Do you do that? Have you found yourself doing that as well?
I have, but I will tell you, probably, over the last year or so, I have really put the brakes on it, because I have figured out, especially since COVID, there's so many new platforms coming on.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to, give you some extra thing. And I just decided, you know what, if I can't do it in Zoom, then I will look at alternatives.
Yeah.
But it's almost never necessary unless you're getting into like a big corporate conference and there's hybrid elements and, and I've even done hybrid programs on Zoom with a few little extra tweaks. We can make it happen really easily.
Yeah. And, even when you were saying that, I was thinking about, like, this platform that we're using right now is just a conference call line. And so, it's not, anything, fancy or, and I've been using this platform for years for many different, types of events and things like that. I used this platform even before Zoom came out. Well, not before it came out. I don't remember how long it's been since Zoom came out, but I was using this platform before I knew about Zoom. And so
so there's the lesson, don't think you have to have all the newest things. Oftentimes that's just a way of stalling.
I agree with you 100% there, 100%. So what do you think the future of virtual events, what do you see in the future of virtual events?
That is like the $1 million question, right? I don't think they're going away. In fact, I talk to corporations all the time that they're sticking with virtual. They have, they have their workforce that is now partially remote. Some are coming back into the office. I was just talking with a large media company today. They have people coming into the office like 2 days a week, and they have people all over the country. They're doing almost all of their training still virtually, and then they're supplementing it with the occasional live program. So like we're working on a training program for all of their salespeople. It's 6 weeks virtual with some supplemental self-study stuff, and then they all come together at the end for 2 days.
Got it.
I mean, and from a small event, small business, entrepreneurial perspective, it gives you global reach. Yes. And I don't think that's going to go away. I mean, I love in-person events. I'm sure you do too. There's no beating it. But I also think that we can do just about everything that we could do live, we can do virtually if it's facilitated well.
And go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, just from a networking perspective, I have met so many more people like you through virtual networking than I ever would have going to in-person networking events.
Yeah, and as you were saying that, I was thinking about the only thing that I think for me that has been a challenge in terms of the virtual experience is that I'm a hugger.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not to say that. Well, I'm saying that because that's probably the only thing that I miss. I am a hugger. Now, by the same token, I am a homebody. So if I have to choose between the two, I'm going to do virtual. I'll just do a virtual hug, right?
Right. And we can create ways to do that. It doesn't feel the same, but you can still create ways within your event, within your community, to give each other virtual hugs.
Yeah. And I think that...
So,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think they're here to stay, and we're going to keep on doing it, and we're going to learn, and... And
honestly, I'm okay with that. I am really okay with that. Yeah. Like I said, I am a homebody. And I have friends who are like, oh my gosh, I miss meeting people in person and things like that. Yeah, no. I don't miss the traveling to an event or the, all the stuff, the preparation, that it takes in order to, meet in person and things like that. And the biggest thing for me is like traveling to, an event, or if it's at night, or if it's, whatever it is, I just prefer the commute time is like 5 minutes.
Right. I know. Isn't that nice?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah. But
you don't have to wear real pants.
Exactly. I wasn't going to say that, but...
Well, we're all thinking it. Come on.
Well, yeah, exactly. So that kind of brings me to the next, question about virtual programs. Is it really possible for virtual programs to be as engaging as a live event? What are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely think it is. And again, it comes down to good facilitation skills.
Yeah.
And I think, that also ties to the question you were asking before about biggest mistakes is, one of the biggest mistakes people make is that they think that it's going to be easy. And it's not. And it's not easy to put on a good live event either. So, when you're doing a virtual program, you have to be really intentional about facilitating the process, facilitating. One of my favorite tools is breakout rooms, which reminds me, I'm going to share with your audience a gift, and it's about exactly this. And it's about facilitating effective breakout rooms, and that you can make or break an event by how you facilitate these conversations and breakouts. So they're just one of my favorite tools in my whole arsenal. When you think about having live events and you think about what happens at a table, when you have table group exercises or you get people standing up with a flip chart or that kind of thing where they're really engaging with each other, you can do that virtually in breakout rooms. So I love that. But it takes you as a facilitator being really good at some things, really good at giving great instructions, really good at understanding the intention behind what you're doing and what you want them to get out of it, and just figuring out, too, how it plays into the bigger picture of your program. So I really think that just about anything that you can do live, you can do virtually. And I'm a fan of getting creative, I love to get people up out of their chairs. We're in the middle of a workshop, and I'll say, okay, I want you to get up and I want you to go and find something in your house that is red and has legs and bring it back and show it to us.
Wow.
And people are like, what? I don't have anything red with legs. It'd be amazing. You'd be amazed to see what they come back with. It might be an apple and they stick 2 toothpicks on the bottom of it to make legs.
No.
But it gets people up and moving, and then they get to talk about that.
Yes. So. Sheri, you just gave me an idea for our networking event, right?
Oh, good. I'm going to be ready. Is it red with legs?
That's such a great idea to get people up and moving and engaged, because one of the things that we do with our networking event is, I tend to ask, a question, that's going to get people, thinking about whatever it is, it may be, and I don't remember when you were there.
Well, you always have really fun questions. Yeah,
and it's designed to get people to just kind of relax and not be so formal and not. We didn't want it to be like the typical networking events where you have your introduction, you pass out your virtual business cards and, whatever, but we wanted it to be very engaging, and we wanted it to be a place where people felt safe, and get to know each other on a different level, and so that was the reason why we started, incorporating those questions from day one. And so, but I love what you just said, about, getting up and find something red and bring it, that right there, I'm letting you know up front that I might steal that idea.
Okay, good. Please do. That's what, I'll steal it shamelessly. I'm fine with that. Yeah. I mean, because seriously, you've been there. We've all been there where we're on this virtual event, whether it's, a webinar or a workshop or whatever. And next thing you know, you're checking your email and you're, it's really hard to keep people engaged. And especially when they have, they have the whole world at their fingertips in front of them. Absolutely. So if you can make them engage with you I try to get people engaged at least once a minute.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're gone.
Absolutely. And that's I guess I would say that's probably one of the biggest challenges to virtual events, is because people tend to multitask and they find something else, they think about something else that they need to do, and they may turn their camera off and go and then turn their camera off, go wash the dishes or check laundry, or what have you. And so it's definitely, I love, that tip that you just gave. Now, do you have some other tips that you'd like to share with the audience that will help them to have more engaging virtual events?
Oh, boy. Well, I'm always full of tips, but I think some of my favorites are, really, first of all, know your audience, which seems really simple, but I see people ignore that a lot too. So understanding where they're coming from so that you can, really better relate to them. I'm a big fan of handouts and worksheets. So when I talk about engagement, having them, with something to do that requires their attention keeps them with you. So there's, besides just that engagement, when you have handouts and you're delivering handouts, either like I always deliver them through the chat so people can download them or deliver them ahead of time, you're also increasing the perceived value of your program, because now they've got something tangible that they can keep afterwards. It contributes to their long-term memory. It allows you to deliver more content, because what might be on that handout might be more than what you're going to deliver live. Yeah. And it stays with them as a lasting resource. So, huge fan of handouts. That's one tip. Boy, there are so many others. I'll give you one more. Here's one: is don't try to put too much into your program. The human brain is really only capable of remembering a very small percentage. And when we talk about percentages, in a learning pyramid, the very top of the pyramid, less than 10%, maybe 10% max, of information that is delivered via lecture is going to be recalled 24 hours later.
Wow.
So just let that sink in for a minute.
Wow.
A lot of times I see event hosts, and this is true live or virtually, they think, oh, if I talk faster and I say more, I got to get all this in because they need to hear this. Well, they might hear it, but they're not going to remember it. So figure out what is the most important and deliver that. I always say 3 key objectives per hour. So if you've got, a 1-hour session, focus on the top 3 things you want people to know.
Got it. That's really good, because a lot of times you're so right. We want to we feel like the more we give them, the more valuable they're going to think it is.
Yeah. And the opposite is true, because they walk away and then the next day they go, oh, yeah, that Aldreama, she was really nice and it was fun. I don't know what I really took away. I mean,
exactly.
I couldn't quote anything or tell you what I learned, but she's awesome.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so hilarious. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Let's focus on, what do you want them to be able to say tomorrow? If they're going to, I always say, one of my favorite sayings that you probably will hear a lot is, what's the story you want them to tell? Yeah. So if you have people leave your program and they go home and they talk to their family, or they have cocktails with their friend tomorrow, what are they going to say about your program? What are they going to teach others that they learned from you?
Yeah. Yeah, and that is so, so important. And I love those tips that you shared. Now, what are some exciting things that you have coming up? And for those that are interested in working with you, what's the best way to reach you? And I know you do have, a free gift, and we're going to, put all that in the show notes and everything like that. But what are some exciting things you got coming up?
Well, right now, I'm focused on just working with my clients one-on-one. So I would love to talk with anybody who, if you are an event host and you're feeling overwhelmed, or you're thinking about putting a program together, you just don't really know where to start, I would love to just talk with you. I love connecting with people on LinkedIn. I'm Sheri Bennefeld on LinkedIn. That's my favorite way. Okay. And then, like you said, I created this ebook that I actually just published it, and you are the very first to have it. In fact, the only. I'm not going to be distributing it anywhere else. And it's really just for those people that are looking to develop high-impact courses. It's an ebook called Deliver High-Impact Virtual Events Using Expertly Facilitated Breakout Sessions. And it's got loads of information in there. Yes. So you can find it at waybeyondordinary.com/Dreama.
Yes, I know. I saw that in the email. I'm so excited about that. I felt very special.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
That's so very
that's
cool.
That's the fun stuff. And then besides that, on Tuesday I'm going to Fargo to visit my family.
Oh, okay. Well, awesome. Fargo. When you said Fargo, it wasn't there a movie Fargo or something like that? Yeah. So it's going to be cold, huh?
It is. I'm looking forward to that. But I think that by the time this podcast airs, I will be back in sunny Florida, where I am warm and cozy.
Right, exactly. Yeah, definitely. By the time the podcast airs, for sure, you'll be back. Well, Sheri, I so appreciate you, and I thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's been so fun talking with you.
Yes. And would you come back if when I extend this invitation, like I'm doing it on air right now?
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely will.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
We'll talk about the next steps.
That's right. Yeah. So I so appreciate you. And again, as I said, all the information will be on the show notes, and people will be able to contact you. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all of this valuable information. I know it's going to help my my fellow female entrepreneurs over 50. They're definitely going to be blessed by this information, and so I'm so excited about it, and can't wait to air these podcasts. I'm having such a ball. I'm really having a blast with these, and so everybody has been so gracious, and you've been gracious with your time and everything. So yeah.
Well, I appreciate being here, and I love your mission. And ladies, you have got way more in you than you give yourself credit for. So I actually want to just end with this. I have on my screensaver or my wallpaper on my computer a saying. It says, "It's not too late. You're not too old. You are right on time, and you are better than you know."
I love that. We're definitely going to use that one in the show notes as well. So yes, thank you so much for that. And it's always a constant reminder. We need those reminders because society, is pushing us aside. But we're a force to be reckoned with. Let's just be clear on that.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
So, yeah. Well, Sheri, again, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And, happy Thanksgiving, and, enjoy your time with your family. And, have a great weekend, all that wonderful stuff.
You too. Until next time.
Until next time, my dear.
Hi, this is Aldreama Harper, and thank you for listening to the podcast. I hope you got value for where you are in your entrepreneurial endeavor. And if you'd like to know more about how I can further serve you, simply go to CoachDreama.com. Again, that's CoachDreama.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Have an amazing day.